Hi, all! What you're about to watch is a part of an episode from our podcast called Anything Goes with the Bunnies.
We like to deep dive on a lot of things, ranging from trending to random, silly to serious, happy and sad. Hope we get to help you today. Welcome back to Anything Goes with
The Bunnies!
and sweetheart, this is our much awaited Hamilton episode.
Yes, my name is Alexander Hamilton. Hello, guys.
So much to get into, but before that, a very much requested section is back.
I think sobrang happy nila kasi dalawang what you're into ngayon.
Yeah, so
Yung main topic is what you're into, but we also decided to add, since it is the request of some people on the Telegram group, na ibalik daw natin yung what you're into. So, here we go. What are we into?
Question and answer.
you want to go first?
Ikaw muna.
I am into a video game called Assassin's Creed Origins.
Okay.
And for, try to make it relatable and understandable for people who don't speak video game language. It's a video game set in ancient Egypt around the time of Cleopatra and Pompey and Julius Caesar. So fascinating. You can explore tombs, you can ride around. The vistas are just beautiful. The graphics are just amazing. You're in the desert, you're in an oasis, you're in the middle of a bustling city. So it's just really fun to play.
Cool.
And apparently it's a controversial game in the franchise.
Bakit?
Well, here's the part that might be of interest to you. I don't know. But it's a conversation about when does a video game evolve with the times, but in the process lose its soul.
Mm-hmm.
The soul of a video game.
Taray, may kaluluwa ang video game. Okay. Sige.
But the soul of the video game, basically the Assassin's Creed series is about a man who goes around assassinating people, carefully. So, it's like one hit and you can kill the bad guy. So it's all about getting to the bad guy and killing him quietly. But there's only so far that concept can go. Because after a while, maybe it's set here, maybe it's set, but it's the same gameplay. So they added another kind of gameplay, which is where you have to level up and get new kinds of weapons. And these weapons it's just a matter of statistics. Does that make sense to you?
No.
So imagine you hit someone with a sword in an earlier battle, but your sword is a weaker sword. Maybe it does 10 points of damage.
Okay.
But later on, it does 100 points of damage. So
Because
you you leveled up and you're able to get a better sword.
Got it.
So
yeah.
that's the way the game mechanic rewards you for playing. Because otherwise, why not just go kill the main bad guy now? Are you yawning?
No. I'm just sleepy. But
Yeah. So the point with Assassin's Creed Origins was they added that dynamic na, where you can't just one
so it's
hit
more
kill.
like a game na talaga.
Yes, it's like other classic games, an RPG role-playing game. So the fans of the series are like, you've ruined it, because the whole point is to be able to kill someone with one hit.
Right.
But other people are saying, but it's more accessible now and more people want to play it. So yeah, very interesting.
Cool.
I'm loving it though. I'm playing as Bayek. His wife is also this formidable war lady. So yeah, pretty cool game. Really liking it. So for me, that's what I'm into. What are you into?
I am into making my own matcha.
Oh yeah.
I've been wanting to do that for some time now, and I really never got around to doing it. And it was because of that girl that we met.
Right. The coffee shop in
sa
Davao.
Davao, yeah, the one
Thank
that
you,
Aliana.
Jopet and Audie, for
Yeah,
introducing
Jopet
us
and
to her.
Audie, thank you for guiding us through our Davao, explorations, and making us meet Aliana, the woman behind Wooden Coffee
Yeah.
in Davao. And she's really more of the shop is named Wooden Coffee, but she really focuses more on matcha because that's what she likes.
Wood and coffee.
Yeah. And I wala lang, I just started asking her questions like, so how do you really make matcha? I've been interested about it. And yun lang, parang I think that connection was more than enough to actually make me buy the stuff. So I got a whisk from her. She taught me where to get the bowl and the strainer. And
All right.
she
How
also gave
essential
me
are those
she
things?
also gave me the matcha itself.
Mm-hmm.
So how essential are those things? Hmm.
Because like a bowl is a bowl.
I've never tried it kasi in any other bowl, but it does help that it has a spout.
Okay.
So you don't mix your matcha, you don't whisk your matcha in the cup itself.
Okay.
So you whisk it in the bowl, and then because it has a spout, you put it in your cup that
I would
way.
think the size helps also
Yeah, I
because if
mean
it's like
like
too small or too big a bowl.
yung bowl kasi pwede naman hanapin mo yung ganong size eh. Pero so I guess any will do. I don't know lang if you know how whatever they use, material they use, kung metal siya, kung glass or what. Hindi ko lang alam kung may epekto yun.
Yeah.
Pero medyo may pagkakape rin siya na parang for this and this grams, dapat ganito, tapos ganito yung temperature ng tubig, may ganun din siyang mga measurement. But it's fairly a lot easier than me making my own drip coffee. So
Mm-hmm.
I like it and I love the ritual of whisking it. And it's good. I mean, like, now you understand how some matcha lattes are really just more milk than matcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, I mean, like,
I like what you make.
my friends, well, LJ told me that, I've never tasted any other kind of matcha that is like as good as yours. And I said, this is what I think. Titipirin ka kasi nila sa matcha. They won't really give you a lot of matcha.
Maybe.
They'll give you more milk and sugar. So, and maybe that's why you liked mine because you could taste. Because I think what makes a matcha latte good, especially, is the contraste of
Yes.
taste. So, it's like that sweet, that milk, and that almost bitter taste.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Even the cookie that shout out the good steward on
Yep.
Instagram for the cookies. But his matcha cookie, that's what I liked about it.
because you can really taste the matcha.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, people don't really like giving a lot of matcha because it's expensive.
Yeah, they don't put so much.
Yeah, taray. So,
Okay.
yeah, let's move on to the real topic of the day.
Topic of the day.
Alexander Hamilton.
Okay, so what can we say about it? If you guys have seen it, please do comment wherever you're watching or hearing this from. I wanna know also like your thoughts on Hamilton.
We're just gonna geek out on the songs. That's all we're gonna do.
Songs lang ba?
What
Oh,
else do you
kasi
wanna geek-
parang more on the production value.
Okay,
like
sure,
all
that
of that.
too. Okay.
Uh-uh.
Yeah. And we've got a guest.
Yes, later on we're gonna call in Philip because he watched it with us. Oh,
Yeah.
diba? It's his first like play with us, I think, na yung parang real official play. Because like before it would be like mga Lion King, mga kiddie stuff, ganyan.
Yeah.
So they did warn us though that there will be like a lot of like cursing and whatever, no? Parang explicit stuff. So language, yeah. They did warn us about that, and I think naman Philip's pretty much exposed to these things, so he's not like surprised or anything. Okay, so where do we begin? I think we must begin with, do you think that because we first saw this on Disney Plus,
Oh,
you
no.
think-
Controversial question.
what?
Sorry, I don't know.
Ano ba yung controversial question? Sorry.
I don't know. I thought you were going somewhere else. Never mind. Do you think that? Just finish your thought.
Do you think that no, I was gonna ask that, do you think it warrants a watching live on stage even if you've seen, because it's quite pricey.
It's pretty expensive.
So I mean, would people be like missing out on a lot if they didn't watch it live?
No.
No.
That's my answer. If that's what I liked, having watched it live and watched it on Disney Plus, I was like, oh, okay, I saw the whole thing na pala on Disney Plus. That's why I say no. Second reason why I say no is the singing on Disney Plus
It's better.
is better.
A whole lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
That being said, what you will get from watching it live, if you choose to, if you have the budget, what you will get is it's really different to see the whole play. Because what the Disney Plus thing does is you have different camera angles that cut close, that zoom in close. And that just breaks you out of the playness of it all. Because if you're watching a play, you're watching the whole thing, right? Because it cuts, it's like, oh, okay, I'm watching a movie, I'm watching a video. Maybe my best illustration of this would be when George Washington writes a letter to Hamilton.
yeah.
Remember, I pointed that out to you when you were watching, where they're passing the letter, Alexander Hamilton, I have soldiers in the field for you. I'm going to sing a lot. Beware. All right? You can just turn this off now if you don't want.
Nga pala, episode pala ito ng videoke ng mga
I know. I held it
Bonifacios.
in at the play. It's coming out now. Okay.
Kung di mo hinold yun, daming nagre-reklamo sa
Oo nga
social
eh.
media about you ngayon.
So rude. Who is that guy?
I know, my gosh, I've seen so many posts like that, like talking about their seatmate.
Really?
Yeah.
I had a different thought about, not our seatmate, but people near us.
Mm.
It was more chismaks.
Mm.
Did you see them?
Okay, and what?
The people right in front of us.
And?
Yun.
Oh, so? Anong comment naman natin dun?
I don't know. You want to use a colonialist lens? You want to use a Christian morality lens? You want to use
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
Because like if they hear this and stuff. Anyway.
Yeah. We didn't know them.
Mm.
Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so that part where they're passing the letter. I just remember I don't remember being captured by that scene on the Disney Plus show, but seeing it live, I really got the impression of a letter being carried from left to right of the stage. From the bottom up and then to the right of the stage. So you see that flow more, the choreography better, if you're watching a play. That's what watching it live will give you.
Yeah. Ako naman, I have a different opinion.
Oh,
I feel
really?
like
You disagree with me?
If
when?
you saw it on Disney Plus, you'd want to see it live.
Yeah.
If
I
you
agree.
hadn't seen it on Disney Plus, parang less lang yung effect niya sa'yo, feeling ko.
Maybe.
Because one is, or if you've at least, got yourself into like repeating the whole album on Spotify, I think that would be like worth going to the play for. Why? Because it's like you're attending a concert, and it's like your favorite cast or favorite songs ever, and they're gonna play it live for you.
Yep.
So I think that's the effect talaga.
Yep,
And that's
yep.
kind of why also it's hard to stop yourself from singing, because I think of all the plays that I've seen before, musicals, this is the one with such a concert factor that makes you want to kind of like sing along.
Yes.
And maybe it's also the genre of songs
yes.
na meron kasi siyang rap and alam mo yun, medyo concert style na siya.
Yep,
So,
yep.
yeah, I think that's what makes it like worth watching. Like
Mhm.
you should watch it for that. Like
Yeah.
iba yung live feels niya.
Cool. I see your point. I stand by mine. You guys choose.
And I guess kasi that's the magic of a musical.
Of theater.
It's not of a musical theater, yes, because it's not something that kind of like can be boxed on the screen. It has to go out of there. Live is the way to go. Parang the live factor is something that you can't beat if you're talking about musical plays.
Yep. And that's impressive. And not just the live performers on stage, but the live music. To think
Lahat,
that the
oo.
band was doing all of that live.
Yeah, lahat talaga. Okay, so what's next?
We're gonna get Philip.
Question and answer.
And we are back. And now our son is in the studio. Next studio.
In the studio, hindi. Kwarto lang to.
Alright.
Yeah, 'cause so we watched it with him and we kind of like want to share with everyone your thoughts as well. So what did you think of
I think it was
Hamilton?
good. I think it was as good as the movie. Everybody was not the same actors as in the movie. Um, at the at the start of the at the exact start of the play, Hamilton, the actor for Hamilton, just said like a few words, and the entire crowd cheered so loud that he had to.
Yeah. Which part did you like the most?
Probably when probably all the parts where it seems like the actors have to be incredibly skilled. The background dancers.
Oh,
The
even the
background
background
dancers were
dancers.
impressive. Okay.
Okay. Anything that you noticed here that was kind of like different from watching it on TV?
Well, first of all, it's not watching it on TV. It you can hear it louder.
You can hear it louder, yes. Which is
You can't get anything wrong.
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right. It's not
Couldn't get anything wrong, yeah.
because it's like is there any particular line that you remember or like any song that you liked the most?
No.
No.
Well, probably Battle of Yorktown.
Battle of Yorktown. Why did you like that? Why do you like that?
It's fun. I mean, it's fun. It's rhymey. It's happy. It's like uplifting, like super cool music. While the other music is just focusing on one's broken past and so dramatic. Can you stop focusing on that?
I remember your comment, Philip, after the Battle of Yorktown, when it got to like governing the nation and the personal challenges of Hamilton. You said, "Wow, everything's just downhill from here." Or what was the word you used?
Everything's chaotic from this point on.
Is there any particular line you remember, like your favorite line? Because I know you like lines.
Probably the part where when Jefferson said, "Can we get back to politics?" and then the other guy said, "Please."
Yeah, so that's after It's Quiet Uptown. And Jefferson goes, after all the drama in the Hamilton family. Thanks a lot, Philip. Anything else?
Not really.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So there you go. We have a new podcaster.
Oo nga eh.
Handa kayo, ma-opinion pa yan sa amin minsan.
Yeah.
Oo. Okay, so let's get back to our conversation. All right, so I kept some notes on my kasi
Before we get into the play itself,
ah
let's do some distracting things first.
like what?
Number 1,
Ah.
a list of my favorite Hamilton parodies.
My gosh.
Yes, so please look these up. If you like Hamilton parodies, you can find these on YouTube. On 4th place, Batlexander Manilton. And it's about Batman. The best line is, Batlexander Manilton, my name is Batlexander Manilton. But if I'm ever asked by anyone, I'm just Bruce Wayne. Just Bruce Wayne. So that's number 4. Number 3 is Luke, the son of Anakin. Luke, the son of Anakin. So, yeah, obviously Star Wars. Number 2, not because it's good, but because it's so bad. Scamilton.
Okay.
I don't want to say more about it because I don't want to say bad things about. I don't know why this church did this outreach this way, but they basically did it. Just look up Scamilton on YouTube. It's so bad. The singing is so bad. And finally, my ultimate favorite, and you know this one, Lovey. Camilton.
Yeah.
Camel
with the
as in
animals.
camel with a hump. It's got a bunch of that. So Camilton instead of Hamilton. Buns and chips instead of guns and ships, my shark instead of my shot, and multiple others. So yeah, those are my top four Hamilton parodies.
Great.
I'm sure a lot of people were blessed by that conclusion.
Okay, so let's get it on.
Wait, I have one more
Ano
distraction.
pa?
The historical inaccuracies.
Yes.
Just to be fair, because we're going to spend forever on the themes. I think one of the biggest historical inaccuracies was Angelica Schuyler did not have a crush on Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
She was already married, I think, when he met Elizabeth
Okay.
or Eliza. Yeah.
Eliza. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So, though they did talk, and I guess they got along, but it's not like there was ever anything romantic there. That's a huge one. Another big one that I remember reading about is that Hamilton, do you know where it says Martha Washington named a feral tomcat after him?
Mm.
And he goes, "That's true." That's not true. I don't know why he said that's true when it's like he really made a point of saying that's true when he knew, when Lin-Manuel Miranda knew that wasn't true.
Okay.
Interesting.
Baka naman may something pa.
Yeah.
So it's up to you guys na kung gusto nyong hanapin yung mga political chismis, nasa sa inyo na yun. But, Hamilton was really a womanizer ba? Or what? Yeah.
Did he cheat?
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know.
He definitely cheated.
Okay.
We don't know if Maria Reynolds, the affair partner, loved him or she was scamming him along with her husband, which is kind of sick. Like for a husband and wife to come up with that kind of scam.
Or maybe they're not husband and wife. Maybe. I don't know.
I think they were.
Okay.
Other big differences. Yeah, I think that's it. Aaron Burr and him weren't like rivals from beginning to end. So you just, kind of like Javert and Valjean. Sorry, Les Miserables. Everything's Les Miserables to me. But everything goes back to that. Na they have to have the antagonist be the antagonist from the beginning. So, there's a few more, but those are the most significant ones I remember.
Okay.
Let's go to themes.
Themes na. Themes yung last.
Why?
Songs muna. Songs and lines.
I was just gonna let you talk about themes and just fill them in with songs.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't really think about it that way. Okay, but themes, I just pulled up my post on Instagram because it's kind of like a summary of what I thought.
Yeah.
To be
and
like
as you
the
know,
themes
Carla
that
writes papers about things she enjoys. Okay, so
I'll just read it out. Na ever since I saw this on Disney Plus, I just knew I'd fly to see this on stage. I really was planning that. I was like, there better be like a way for me to get to like a London or a New York by 2024 just so I could see this on stage. And I would put my money on it because the material is so good. It has everything I've always loved in stories: nation, colonial exploits, founding fathers, internal conflict versus external, family in the midst of war and calling and purpose, narratives, Eliza's power to write herself out and then in again, freedom, government, envy, ambition, writing, to live and to die, to eat and drink and be merry even when you are one bomb away from expiring. Time. So that's, like all
those
of those.
were the themes.
Yeah, those were the themes.
Do
But
you
I
wanna-
guess, yeah, sige, mahirap naman kung i-dissect ko lahat, no? But basically, na-realize ko lang din to na when I was watching Sound of Music, the reason why I loved Sound of Music a lot was because it talked about things I'm passionate for also, which would be nation and family, purpose, calling, family, and just life.
Yeah.
I mean, like how do you make the best out of life when you're in the midst of something that is so terrible?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like all of us, even if we're not going through war, diba? Kasi like these stories are set in a time where there's like, you have a danger of like dying, of losing your lives over stuff like this. But even when we're not going through anything like that as a nation right now. It's really, sabi nga ni Kate Bowler, one of my favorite authors and like thinkers that we have out there today. Um, Life is both horrible and beautiful at once. And I think that's the tension of stories like this. Now, how do you make the best out of life, even when you're in the midst of something really, really terrible?
Yeah. I like what you said about this play and other plays you've liked before. I think you mentioned Chicago Typewriter, where it was like a
Yes.
macro view, but of an individual in that. So let's try that now, Miss Rika. Diba? Let's try that. Macro themes first. I want to share. I started to cry in the play at Yorktown. The world turned upside down when when the cast began singing. You know that chorus. You know, as they start retreating, I hear the song that they're singing, and the world turned upside down. And I whispered to you, I think during the play or at the end of that section, how it was pretty poignant to me to watch. Some of them were Americans, I'm guessing, but Westerners singing about a turning point in history, which was actually a very significant one, where the end of old world Europe and the birth of the new world America, and what that would stand for, good and bad, okay? But now they're singing that to us, and I really think in many ways it's our time. It's time for the developing world, for former colonies, for Latin America, Africa, and Asia to rise up. And what does the world look like now?
To be the young, scrappy, and hungry right now.
Yes. So that actually moved me to tears. I think in everything from the possibilities of what would our nations look like if they completely throw off colonialism and embrace our national identities, to maybe even being transnational, where Filipinos are able to send money across nation states and borders because of technology, to even in the church, where, as you know, in the church that we're leading now, one of our concerns, and the people I'm glad I get to meet with, we're asking the questions: what does a Filipino Christian, a Christian Filipino, bring to the table? And not just a very westernized, Americanized form of Christianity in church. And all of that was just like speaking to me as they were singing.
I think you bringing this up made me realize what I liked about it specifically also because, America is the imperial America that we know today.
Yeah.
And it is very rare for me to like see them in that light where they are the young, scrappy, and hungry
Yeah.
nation
Yeah.
once in their history.
Funnily enough, for someone who grows up there, depending where they grow up, that's all they think their nation is. They don't think they're imperial. They're like, oh yeah, we're still young, scrappy, and hungry. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the things that I like, and maybe it resonates with me because that's where we are right now.
Yeah.
Yung parang ang gulo lang. Parang everything's just so hard. Everything is just, starting from the ground.
Uh-huh.
And again, no, just to bring back to the whole macro, micro. When that's one of my favorite lines actually, like the young, scrappy, and hungry, because it kind of like tells you something about Hamilton, but also the country. That's what it's designed for, right? To say that I'm just like my nation right now. And I feel like that's the entanglement of a nation and of a person, like the micro and the macro. It's like, because I'm trying to think now, if I lived during his time, would I still be me? Would I still react the same way? Like, could I be this with Ron and this apathetic about a lot of things? Maybe not. Maybe that was a time where, parang the macro is just really forcing you to fulfill such calling.
Yeah.
Which you will never feel anymore today. Like for us, at least in our history today. Na parang, ito ba yung mga naramdaman ni Rizal? Ni Bonifacio? Alam mo yun, yung ganun na feeling na there is no choice but to actually fight.
Yeah. And I think with the war, that's why Philip's comment about Yorktown was pretty interesting. Why does everything get chaotic afterwards? Because as George Washington said in the play, winning is easy, governing is harder.
Right.
So battle makes necessary allies. It made you okay. Well, now I like Benjamin Franklin's quote when they were going to start the American Revolution. He said, "We must all hang together because if we don't, we will all hang separately."
Mhm.
I mean, his play of words that we must stick together or we'll hang. We will be like killed, and that's kind of what a stress moment does. But now, when it's gone, when the
Yeah.
antagonist is gone, when King George is gone, do you like the people you're with? Do you agree? Can you agree on what the nation should look like?
Diba yan yung sinasabi ni Ambeth Ocampo that we hate the Spaniards a lot, but they are the ones who actually united the Philippines.
Yeah, yeah,
Prior to it, there was no nation as such.
yeah.
No Philippines. But because we had a common enemy, we came together. These 7,000 plus islands came together.
I think what's still missing with the Philippines is the big win because, Americans can say they won the Revolutionary War and we didn't. We didn't beat Spain. America co-opted that. Then Japan came. Could you say?
And then they just left, ganon. Parang,
Yeah.
is that what you're
Could
saying?
you say
That
America
we
leaving is a
didn't really
victory?
conquer?
Yeah.
And that makes you ask the question, no, na, are we conquerors even? Maybe we're not.
Yeah.
Diba? I mean, like, it's a forever question. Some were for assimilation, some for annexation.
Yeah.
Diba? So parang, what? Because for me, honestly, if we're not going to be so strong to stand on our own, I would say, pa-assimilate ka na.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
it's hard because we're not in that time. We didn't exist in that time. But honestly, I don't know. Like, because I don't think it's so bad. You know me, I don't like colonial mentality. But also at the same time, let's just be decisive.
Well,
Are we there or are we not there? Parang ganon.
Well, people point to the prophetic words of Manuel L. Quezon, right? Where I think it's Manuel L. Quezon, where he
What does
said,
it say?
"I would rather a nation run like hell by Filipinos than a nation, the opposite, run like heaven by foreigners." And it's like, well, be careful what you wished for. But
Exactly.
I don't think it's too late to give
No.
up on the Filipino
And we're very young.
experiment.
I mean, like, this is not even like, what, hundreds of years?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
We're not even there yet. So I do understand that. And maybe that is also why it's kind of like it feels helpless from this point. Because you're thinking, I just have to wait it out.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the hardest part. And
Oh
I
my
think,
gosh, that's the adaptation. It's the Filipino nation as a woman singing "Helpless."
oh, okay. May baby tayo. Yes, maybe. Okay.
All right. We had an interruption, a Paw Patrol interruption.
Okay. So, yes.
Yeah, so I thought about this a lot ever since I was in college and well, even before that. Like, what would it take to really, what is a Filipino identity? What would it take to birth that? And yeah, just still wondering.
One of my most favorite lines in. And okay, sorry. When I talk about lines, I don't just talk about. Well, some of them just really very, very good lines. Like yung winning is easy, governing is harder. Meron din yung dying is easy,
Living is harder.
living is
yes.
harder. Magaganda yung mga ganon niya eh. Pero meron din akong feeling ko ang genius niya. Not only in the way that it was written, like not only by the use of words, no, the choice of words, but also how it matched the melody to exactly convey the emotion.
What was it?
So, tomorrow there'll be more of us. Sobrang gusto ko yun kasi parang I think the flow of that melody where it rises and where it falls, it kind of like takes you, it gives you a motion of look ahead in the horizon. It's not yet here, but it's gonna happen.
Beautiful.
But that melody, like, tomorrow there'll be more of us. Hindi siya, because when you go up, tomorrow there'll be more of us. If you go like that, you're already putting a conclusion. But because it falls, tomorrow there'll be more of us. It gives you like that a feeling that it's still hanging. It's going to happen, but it's still
So there's
hanging.
still something
You're
to watch
in
out
the
for.
middle. Yes.
Ganda naman
So
nun.
sobrang gusto ko yan. The other line that was like that for me is Eliza's what is that when she goes to the lake?
Oh yeah. Nonstop.
Yeah, how does she say it again? Okay, I'm forgetting it
No,
right
sorry.
now.
Take a break.
Yeah. Okay, let's try to hear that again. Like what is that line?
Which one?
Lake
There's a lake I know in a nearby park. I'd love to go. You and I can go when the night gets dark.
okay, how's that go again? Like I can't remember.
Lake I know.
There's a lake I know.
In a
Na, 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 na. It's and the frequency of how she sings it to Hamilton. It's like ang kulit niya. Na parang please, please. You know that I what and the melody again takes you away.
Yeah.
Like it's making you look somewhere else. It's like I know you're looking at this, you're so preoccupied. But when I say there's a lake I know, it's like even without seeing the character do it, it's like the melody is taking your eyes off of something
Yeah.
and bringing you elsewhere.
It's trying to get him to look.
Yes. Yes. And, I just, every time I hear those two lines with the melody, it's like, wow, ang perfect lang talaga. Where it rises and falls and how it lingers and how it hangs.
The play is full of that, for sure.
Yes.
And it would take forever if we went song by song.
Right.
So we're not, I'm saying that to myself. We're not, but
throwing away our shot.
But
We're not throwing away our shot.
But we'll do a few.
Okay, sige, ikaw, ano ba yung mga gusto mong parts? Anong songs yung pinaka... Well, syempre ako naiyak ako dun sa namatay na si Philip. And I
you know
think,
what? For some reason, that part hit me more in the play than in the video.
Oh.
Even though the performances in the video were stellar. I don't know why. I guess in the play, it's like you're watching real people.
Maybe, yeah.
And I kind of felt the heartbeat. Because, when Philip gets shot, the rhythm, the bass, bug, 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 is part of the song. And then you realize later on it's his heartbeat.
Right.
And then it stops.
Mhm.
Right? And I don't know why, but I felt it more in the play.
Baka nga kasi it's louder.
Maybe it's
that's-
louder, yeah.
That's what
And
it
it was
does.
hard. It's
And I feel like the actors were easily felt during the live
yeah.
play.
Well, they were
than,
great actors and actresses.
So funny nga kasi you'd think, no, na parang you'd feel it more on TV because there are close-ups.
Yeah, yeah.
But that wasn't necessarily true
Yeah,
for
they
this
were
one.
amazing.
Because I could feel Rachel Ann Gaul more in this one than I felt Eliza Philippa in...
For me, the death of Philip Hamilton, I couldn't look away. It was like watching it happen. It's like being in the hospital room. You know what I mean? It's like it was that uncomfortable for me. Maybe not exactly that, but much more definitely than on TV. So yeah, I like that part.
Yeah, I also like the way that they reuse some songs in,
Of course,
in the
yeah.
entire musical, and especially so in this one when they were counting in French, and then like it's parang I find the genius of like this is just a short play, huh? But I mean like the standard, but they were able to establish the relationship of the mother and Eliza and Philip.
Yeah.
For you to cry like that, because I mean like for you to be moved about that song that they've shared together, and then him like singing it while he's dying.
Right.
Why?
This one,
Yung toi.
I
toi ta 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 ta
I think he says set tweet not, and he goes sehet tweet, like he adds an extra he Diba? An extra syllable there. She goes,
Mm.
setuit naf. And he goes, sehetuit naf.
Mhm. So I think it's so ang galing lang how they reuse the songs
Yeah.
in the entire musical that I feel like this is also very useful kasi when you're watching it for the first time, how it gets reused over and over.
Yeah.
You like form a familiarity
Yeah.
with it's like you know
Yeah, the melody
songs of
and the
these
musical
people.
treatment is a storytelling device. So, for example, like in Les Miserables, Javert's song "Stars," it explains his worldview. It's a very legalistic, perfectionist worldview where, and then he says, if you fall as Lucifer fell, you fall in flames. Basically, aim for the stars. If you fail to reach it, you should die. At his death in Javert's suicide, sorry, spoiler alert. At his suicide at the end of the play, it's two songs that are combined. One was Valjean's crisis song in the beginning, where Valjean decides, my life must change and I cannot be sinful anymore. I must embrace the way of God, the way of grace. Javert comes to a similar crisis point, but instead of embracing grace, he embraces legalism and instead kills himself for failing to be perfect. So basically, Javert's suicide is two songs. It's the crisis song of Valjean, but combined with the star song, which is his worldview. And that's what brings it to the end. So same thing here, right? Maybe I'll go into one thing I like now with Hamilton. It's the theme of my shot. Don't throw away your shot is consistent. I'm not gonna throw away my shot. And then that comes up again in 10 Dual Commandments when his friend fights Charles Lee and he says, Lawrence, don't throw away your shot. And then in Nonstop, he says, I'm not gonna throw away my shot. Right? And then when his son gets shot in the song, where is that? Blow Us All Away, he tells his son to throw away his shot. And tell me what you think about this. When he dies, the world was wide enough. He throws away his own shot as well. Like Hamilton shoots in the sky. I don't know if that's historically accurate, but that's how the way the play describes it. Here's my analysis, and I'd like to hear what you think, Miss Ma'am, kung okay lang po, kung tama naman pong lens na ginagamit ko. But the whole play, he says, I'm not gonna throw away my shot. I'm not gonna throw away my shot. And that attitude is what brings him to ruin his life. Right? He tells his son to throw away his shot, but even the reason why he tells his son is kind of strategic pa rin. Right? In the end, he throws away his shot and that's why he dies. Is that his redemption arc? Where he says, I'm not going to throw it away, I'm not going to throw it away, and then he does throw it away?
Maybe I don't know if that's
Anong grade ko doon, ma'am?
the
Kung yun yung,
intention.
anong grade yun?
Maybe, baka yan yung intention ni Lin-Manuel. Di natin alam eh. Pero it can be read many different ways.
Yeah.
If I'm going to universalize that,
Oh,
it's like a person who just got older
and just,
and who mellowed out,
yeah.
who's just very hot, like young, scrappy, and hungry. And by the point that he's throwing away his shot in the end, he's no longer that young, scrappy, and hungry
Yeah.
guy. And maybe that was also like, if you tie that with how Aaron Burr ends it, na parang, I should have known the world was big enough to have the two of us. Is this like a bunch of people maturing? Na, you know what? We've been fighting for so long just to, find ourselves at the end saying that we shouldn't have been doing this. I mean, like, we were small thinking
Right.
from the start. And we should have been thinking bigger than that because
Yeah.
the world is bigger than that.
Speaking of Aaron Burr, no time to get into it now, but go look up how his life ends. It's crazy. it's like just nuts.
Pero accurate ba na magkasabay si Philip at si Theodosia? Or ano na lang yun? Creative license na lang yun?
There wasn't any relationship depicted naman, diba, between Philip and Theodosia. But I guess they were born at around the same time. Yeah.
Yun din kasi
I don't know the truth.
isang part na gustong-gusto ko. Parang and maybe I can relate to that because we're in that season. Like
Yeah.
you being placed in the middle of all of this, and then you're raising kids.
Well, you know what? Speaking of beautiful lines, dear Theodosia.
Oo, sobra.
And I want to give a shout out to the very first person who told me to listen to Hamilton, Josh Uy, where he was like, "Look, have you heard Hamilton at all?" And I said, "No." Because Philip was a baby and he had just been born. Remember that? And he said, "Okay, you don't need to remember anything else. Just listen to Dear Theodosia." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And I'm listening to it and I'm crying and I'm thinking, "Oh gosh."
Alam mo, ang ganda-ganda, no? I think for a parent din kasi, it, in such, few lines,
Yep.
it was able to describe exactly how a parent feels.
Here's I've got it.
Yeah, say it.
Pride is not the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, diba?
There's
Parang-
so much more inside me now.
Yes.
So true. Secondly, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll make a million mistakes.
mistakes.
That is parenting
In
in a
two
nutshell.
lines, parenting in a nutshell is that. I'll do anything, everything. I will move the mountains for you, and I will make
I'm
it
gonna
all
get it wrong. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think this is a very helpful way to approach parenting na, anak, magkakamali ako. Sorry na lang. 'Di ba? Buti na lang may Diyos, buti na lang may kapatawaran.
Pero yung gusto ko rin kasi dun sa depiction nila as tatay na parang, before the kids, nothing was bigger than their own personal dreams.
Yeah.
And suddenly, it's like, everything I've known in my life, that's nothing compared to you, having you my child, and wanting to do everything that's right for you.
Well, you hear that in Yorktown, right? Where he goes, gotta start a new nation, gotta meet my son. Because he's like, oh, I'm so brave. I finally have a command to lead. Oh, wait, my wife's expecting a
Yun
baby.
din yun, na parang, even that, di ba, in such a short play nga, di ba, ang dami mong nadaanan yung motions ng isang tao na katulad na, nating lahat, di ba, na lahat tayo may ambisyon, lahat tayo may pangarap. Pero lahat din tayo may reality na gusto din nating magkaroon ng tahimik na buhay.
Yeah.
Gusto natin ng anak. Gusto nating mag-enjoy kasama ng mga kasama natin, ng mga asawa natin. How does it all fit in one lifetime?
Yeah. Yeah. Getting to the more personal side, what really spoke to me was the theme of a man who, in his workaholism and drivenness and sense of calling, had really affected his life and almost destroyed it. So, and we've talked about that on this podcast. We wrote about it in our book with my own version of that. And you really hear it in nonstop. And to me, nonstop is like the One Day More of this play. Because you have, One Day More, that song in Les Miserables, where all of these voices, are all
Right.
saying One Day More. In this one, you've got Burr talking about how Hamilton is such a workaholic. That's the line, why do you always assume you're the smartest in the room? And then he's in the Constitutional Convention. And then he's telling Burr about, and then he writes the papers, and then he writes Angelica, and then this is the whole My Dearest Angelica. And then this is also where the wife is telling him, Alexander, look around, how, and I like that part where she says, Alexander, and he says, I have to leave. And she goes, Alexander. And then he tries to convince her, like, look around, how lucky we are to be alive right now. I'm going to be head of treasury or state, and then she sings Helpless. It's the same word that she sang when she was in love with him, but now it's, I'm helpless to stop him. I'm helpless to change this direction.
And, balikan natin yung lucky to be alive right now. When they both sing that, they don't
mean the same thing. Yeah.
mean the same thing,
Yeah.
di ba? Na parang Hamilton's like, we're so lucky to be alive now because we get to do something.
And my star's on the rise.
Yeah.
Be
And,
happy for that.
right. And this girl naman, Eliza's like, just to be able to keep our lives is already a strange luck for us. So let's
Actually, that's an interesting point you said.
keep that.
because she sang that to him at first. Look around, how lucky we are to be alive right now. Look at where you are. Look at where you started. And he uses that on her. He takes her lines and says, "Di ba ikaw nagsabi how lucky we are to be alive right now?" But you're right. She does mean it differently. The end of that song, that would be enough. She says, let this be the moment. Let this moment be the first chapter where you decide to stay. And this is the heartbreaking line. And I could be enough, and we could be enough. That would be enough. Ouch. And let me just get on a soapbox here for a bit. Especially if you're married and you have a family. This is the cry of your spouse and your kids. Are we enough? Because if we could be enough, that would be enough. But if we're not enough and you're looking for pleasure, validation, affirmation, from other places, yeah, which proves Angelica's song true, you will never be satisfied. Right? And that's what she says when she sings
Which
satisfied.
kind of makes you think then, me naman as a woman, when I was like watching it, I was like thinking, if I met a guy who was like this, would I even would I even allow myself to fall in love with him? Because this is a person who will not consider anything else more important than his calling, his
His
purpose,
idea of
whatever. Yeah.
greatness.
Diba?
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, I mean, like,
That's the thing though. I'll say something, and this is like those toxic alpha male podcasts, but some of them make sense. I'm gonna say that now. Here's the thing. Women, it seems, you can correct me as a woman, um, aren't you drawn to a man who leads? Aren't you drawn to a man who's going somewhere? So and this is where I disagree though. What they'll say is, oh, so now that I'm going somewhere, now you want to tie me down to the home. To me, I'll answer my own question and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. To me, there's a difference between going somewhere and doing something from a healthy place of security and of solid, a center on the inside of you where I know what I'm doing and I'm doing this. And that includes the family versus the people who are doing it from a place of emptiness, which is Hamilton, right? Who's chasing something, trying to prove something. And because of that, as a result, they'll end up burning more than they actually produce.
yeah. I think lang, as a women, charot. um, Ako personally, I was ever after someone who was like a goal getter or something. Like, I didn't really need that. I didn't need this. Like, when I was looking at you, I wasn't looking at you as someone who's going to be great someday. I was looking at you as a great father. Alam mo yung parang, okay, this is gonna be potentially the father of my children. Is he gonna be a great dad? That was all I was after. And of course, a great husband. But that's kind of like, oh sige, kung natik ko na yan sa boxes ko, diba? Yung susunod dyan, is he gonna be a great dad? I've never liked anyone because they were gonna go the path of greatness. That was
Yeah.
never a consideration for me. So
I think that's where
I
we
think
clicked.
some people do, like some girls do. I'm not like that. So just to say that, there
I
are
think let's
people.
qualify, greatness the way the world defines it.
Yeah.
Like a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Nobel Peace Prize
And
winning.
really, what else pa ba? Kasi I mean,
CEO
great-
of whatever.
greatness, ako parang yun lang naman talaga maisip mo pag greatness. Kasi great dad, iba naman yun. Di ba? Iba naman yung great dad.
There's a quote that gripped me before, and I've shared it to you before, that one of the problems of great men is that very few of them are good men. So like, Genghis Khan, great founder.
Yeah.
But was he a good man? And reading that quote, I don't think we were married yet. It just changed my ambition to be, okay, Lord, I want to be a good man. I don't need to be a great man, especially if goodness is going to be sacrificed in the pursuit of greatness. I'd rather be good.
Yes. So
Which brings me to another Hamilton cover, First Burn. I've shared this with you. If you like the Burn song by Eliza Hamilton, there's a song on YouTube called First Burn, and it's by four people or five women who play. I don't know if they all play Eliza. One of them's Rachel Ango, and they expand the theme of Burn, which is, if you remember the play, Burn is where Eliza's telling him, "You've burned it all, the legacy." Some really powerful lines here where they talk about his defensiveness. One of the lines goes, "Your enemies whisper, so you have to scream." Like, that's how defensive you are. You hear one faint thing about you, and now you over explain. But the ending, here, the last verse, when the time comes, explain to the children the pain and embarrassment you put their mother through. When will you learn that they are your legacy? We are your legacy. If you thought you were mine, don't. So it's just so sad, the thought that that was your legacy. That's your greatness. It
yeah, I
was
mean,
right
at the
there.
end of the day, who was the one responsible for ensuring that people get to hear his story?
She tells my story.
Oh, diba? So, ayun din na. Another theme yan. Narratives, writing. Diba nga, history is written by the winners.
Yeah.
And you kind of get a feel of that in the end, where they talk about the presidents and like how we lack credit for where credit is due in some places. And you begin to think of like, how many other more people are we like not acknowledging kaya
Yeah.
in history, no? And then it made me think, maybe it's not that important for me. Like,
No, it
honest-
isn't.
like for me, I was thinking about that when the play, because I feel like it's such a noble thing to feel na
To
parang,
have someone tell
you
your
know,
story.
have someone tell my story. And I feel like that would have made an effect on me, like an impact on me 10 years ago. But now it's like, I don't care. I don't really need you to remember me. Nandun na ako sa point na kahit naman makalimutan nyo ako, Ox, na the only thing that I want is like for my kids to remember me, but that's it. If the rest of the world forgets me, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
super agree.
need anyone telling my narrative or my story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to nonstop for me. Diba? So there's that part where Burr is talking how he works nonstop. Alexander Hamilton, I think his mood, the whole song, is giddy. He's excited. I was chosen for the Constitutional Convention. He's happy. And then the president says, "Would you take Treasury or State?" And he goes, "Treasury." And he goes, "Let's go." So he's just excited. And then that's when Eliza tells him, "Stay." And he says, "I have to leave." She says, "Helpless." And then from far away, Angelica sings, "He will never be satisfied." And then so Angelica saying, "I told you he would never be satisfied." Eliza saying, "Helpless." Washington adds, "History has its eyes on you." Like, that is such a pressure
Pressure,
thing.
oo.
How can you
Totoo
hear
yan.
your wife and kids? And I know this as someone who felt that. Like, if you tell me that the mission of God, the evangelization of the next generation lies on whether or not I meet this other person, that's what drove me to do what I did. And I like it because with all those voices about just you wait, what rises to the top is Alexander going, "I am not throwing away my shot." Meaning, for all of the talk of history has its eyes on you, and what really wins out is on the inside, I have a shot and I don't want to throw it away. Which means it's really personal. It's really you. There's something in me, in all of us, that's driving the self-destructive
Yun na nga
behavior.
yung mga conclusion natin sa, kunwari mo, burnout, di ba?
Yeah.
Kanino bang kasalanan yung burnout? At the end of the day, you will have to face the demons inside of you that actually allow yourself to be trapped in that
Yep.
situation. So it's just the same here. Like, I cannot blame the founding of a nation, the purpose and the calling that is waiting for
Yeah,
you, that
that's
is, just pressuring you.
yep.
It's not their fault. At the end of the day, I think you need to realize that we all were gifted with agency. And you can always exercise that by saying no. Yes or no to what, kumbaga, ikaw lang yun. Nobody else can do that for you. And that's also partly why I like the character of Eliza, because she's like an amazing female power in this musical, because she's like, I will write myself in and out of the story because binastos mo ko. And then I will volunteer to write myself in again because I think I've already gone through the process. Well, at least that's how I see it from the musical. Of
Yeah.
course, I don't know if that's accurate in real life, but if I'm just basing it on the play, I see that as, a tremendous exercise of agency. Like, I will try my best to do everything that is good for our marriage. But when it's done, it's done. I'm going to write myself out. And when I'm ready again, I will write myself in again.
Yeah. And speaking of like these internal demons, that's what Say No to This says, right? And I told you about my thoughts there. Where Say No to This, when he commits the affair, the opening line by Burr is, "There's nothing like summer in the city. Someone under stress meets someone looking pretty." And he wasn't where he was supposed to be. He wasn't with his family. And that's when, it bit him. And it reminded me of that part in the Bible where King David commits adultery. And the preface to that section, to that chapter, in the time when kings go off to war, David was not there. He was at home. So, combining those two thoughts, King David commits adultery with Bathsheba by not being where he was supposed to be, which was at war. Hamilton commits adultery with Maria Reynolds by not being where he was supposed to be, which was with his family. And I think, especially for men, for husbands, for fathers, if we are not where we're supposed to be, if we're not showing up at home, even if you're physically there, but if you're mentally checked out, that is the beginning of a disaster. And that's when he cheats, And the other interesting thing I found there was where he says in the hurricane song, he goes, "In the eye of the hurricane, there's quiet." He's about to be exposed. And the theme, he says, is, "I wrote my way out. I wrote my way out. I wrote my way out." And that's when he writes the disastrous Reynolds pamphlet where he like blows up, any
Minarites niya yung sarili niya.
Oh, which is
Yun.
kaya
The
nga-
best.
Kaya nga ang ganda ng first burn na version na your enemies whisper so you have to scream. This is him screaming with the Reynolds pamphlet. But I can see why, because to him, I wrote my way out. Writing has gotten me all the good I've ever gotten. So how am I going to get out of this? I need to write. Instead of letting himself be broken, instead of letting himself receive the consequences, lumaban pa siya. He found another way and it actually made it worse. And I can think of like so many times in my life where I've decided to go back to old ways and tried ways instead of, okay, God, what are you doing in this point right now?
Yep. And ano ba? Meron ka pa ba?
I have a lot more, but I can end with
I know.
one last.
It's like, because if I start another thing, I don't think we'll ever end.
Siguro
Ano,
the
part
song
two ba?
that
Part
really
two?
breaks
Joke.
my heart the most is "It's Quiet Uptown." And that's at the lowest point of their life. And this is my favorite song right now in the whole play. Oh gosh, I didn't even talk about Wait For It. But never mind. We don't have to. But
Ano ka ba? Isang buong episode pa si Aaron Burr.
oh yeah, he's amazing.
Diba? I mean, like that character. It's like, kasi then I think that the way that ano,
Lynn?
Lynn.
Okay.
I was like, Luis, inano ko yung you at saka I. Lin-Manuel, I think the way that he wrote it was, I don't know if he intentionally did it, but it's like a stand-in for almost every stereotype
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the world.
I mean, that's what makes art beautiful. Not just because it tells you a story,
But it's
but you find
cathartic.
yourself in the story. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But what I'm saying is, of course, I mean, that's always the case. Like, there's a universal factor to it. But I wonder if he really intentionally said, let's make a caricature of this character that is just so like this type of person.
Yeah.
Like, did he have that in the back of his head that this is every inggit person in the world? Parang ganon.
I did like one part with Wait for It, and I don't think it was just envy, where he says, I am the one thing in life I can control. I am inimitable. I am unoriginal. I'm not falling behind or running late. I'm not standing still. I'm lying in wait. That was like my mantra for a long time. The whole season of unemployment. Just like, God, okay, what are we doing here?
Actually, that's a very, ano ba? I don't know what to call it. But it's like, it's a neither here nor there song for me.
Yeah.
Because it's not really like a bad thing, even though he had eventually like a bad effect on him. It had a bad effect on him because it's like waiting is good.
Yeah.
You don't just jump into things the way that
Hamilton did.
was like jumping on everything.
Yep.
But I think also parang the sins there, no? Like the other one is like jumping too much.
Yeah.
The other one was waiting way too long.
Yeah.
Na parang at one point, yun nga yung diba, critique sa character niya na parang if you're not standing for anything, then you're not standing for you're standing for nothing, diba? But yourself. It's like you're just in it for yourself. Like selfishness is your main driving thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think ang ganda lang talaga that's another thing that I liked about it. The foiling, like how they used so much of Aaron Burr and Hamilton to like foil each other, like make you realize the good and the bad in these like stereotypes.
Yep. Last one. It's quiet uptown.
Yeah.
This is the lowest point. He's ruined his marriage, and their son dies as a result. How does a wife forgive that? Right? And I like the theme here of unimaginable. Right? So he says there are moments that the words don't reach, suffering too terrible to name. You hold your child as tight as you can and push away the unimaginable. Later on, the Hamiltons move uptown and learn to live with the unimaginable. And then later on, he tries to talk to Eliza, and she's just not responding. I kind of felt this song more in the play, more than the video, because again, you're watching them move, and even if the camera's not focused on Eliza, you're watching her. You're watching her go like, is she gonna change? Is she gonna break? Or is she just gonna be morose the whole time? And it says they're trying to do the unimaginable. We push away the unimaginable. He's trying to do so it's all about the unimaginable. And then at the end, they're standing in the garden, Alexander by Eliza's side. She takes his hand and she says, it's quiet uptown. And in the chorus, people go, forgiveness, can you imagine? Forgiveness, can you imagine? And I think that's the theme of the song is unimaginable pain, unimaginable depression, unimaginable despair, unimaginable sadness that I can't imagine what it would be like to stay married in a situation like that. And the response or what you need in unimaginable situations like that is unimaginable grace, unimaginable forgiveness, where I don't know how you're doing it. I don't know how you're still alive. I don't know how you're bearing it. But I can't deny, there's something there that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's a great reminder na rin, no, for people who are like finding it hard to forgive. I've heard this from someone. I was asking that person na parang, but how if you really can't?
Yeah.
And then she goes, but maybe that's how you know that forgiveness is a supernatural thing. It's not something you can do in the flesh.
Yeah.
Na magagawa mo lang siya. Parang, and isn't that true? For every time you have forgiven someone, and you felt it. Like you really feel like, yeah, it's actually gone, and you're good with it. And you ask that person, how'd you do it? You can't even trace how.
Yeah.
Like you can't. You don't know. You don't have like a step 1, step 2, step 3 that got you to that exact feeling that you're, kind of headed been wanting to get to.
Yeah. So there, this is us cutting it here. If we don't take this exit now, the next one is an hour from now.
So, pa-exitin nyo na kami.
But
And
yeah,
if
we'd
you're
love to hear your thoughts on
Yeah,
Hamilton.
for those of you who've seen it already live, or even just on the C Plus, if you have thoughts, if you want to share more,
Yes.
jump in on any of the points that we discussed earlier, please do so. We'd love to talk more about it, and maybe we'll have a sing party. Who knows?
Yeah, so favorite songs, any other melody or harmony insights, anybody who listens to the parodies, like I just talked about, Scamilton, let us know how you found that. Yeah, and if you want to join the Telegram group for discussion, you see the link below.
All right. Until next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you want to hear the rest of the episode, you can listen to it on our podcast. We are available on Spotify.
We also have our socials and chat rooms, and we sure hope to see you there.